AI is everywhere. Your newsfeed, your meetings, and even your portfolio. 1 minute, it's the key to unlimited growth. The next, it's the death of jobs. And by lunch, someone's calling it the next bubble. But here's the real question. Is this hype or history repeating itself? Today on The Big Bo Show, I'm pulling back the curtain. What the data really says about the Magnificent Seven, and whether this AI rally has real legs. How AI shows up in your career and life, and why it could secretly trap you in the average. And in Bo Knows, the lesson my Miami Dolphins and even fallen business giants like Kodak and Blockbuster teach us about building wealth by choice, not chance. This isn't about chasing headlines. It's about protecting your blind side. So buckle up. Let's get into it.
Let's take a little flower and turn it into a tree. 'Cause we're harnessing the power that has been passed down centuries. Life in a game, fortune and fame. You're gonna win over time, you know. It's hard to attain, but you're on your way. You're listening to The Big Bo Show.
Brought to you by Julius Wealth Advisors.
Seems like everyone's betting their future on AI stocks. But here's the uncomfortable truth. When the market gets this concentrated, history shows it rarely ends well. AI stocks began to surge in 2023, fueled by breakthroughs in generative AI and massive spending from the so-called Magnificent Seven: Apple, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, Tesla, Alphabet, and Nvidia. Today, those 7 companies make up a third of the S&P 500. According to Goldman Sachs, the highest concentration since 1980. And if you zoom out, tech and tech-adjacent leaders now dominate the index weight. Think about that. The U.S. stock market, the benchmark everyone talks about, is looking less like a diversified index and more like a tech fund in disguise. And that creates 2 problems. First, valuations are stretched. Investors today are paying nearly 40% more for every dollar of cash flow than they did a decade ago. In plain English, you're paying a steeper price for the same earnings power. Earlier this year, the average price-to-earnings multiple of the Magnificent Seven fell about 30% from its highs. That's Wall Street valuing the same earnings a third lower in months. Proof that sentiment can turn on a dime. Second, the rest of the market has lagged. Money keeps crowding into these same few names, while many other sectors barely move. And history reminds us that today's leaders rarely stay on top forever. Case in point, back in the early 90s, my grandfather Julius, the namesake of this firm, loved General Electric. At the time, GE was a giant, the second largest company in the S&P. Fast forward to today, it barely cracks the top 50. Markets evolve, leadership changes, and even with extraordinary companies, the price you pay matters. Warren Buffett recently has been trimming his Apple stake, not because Apple is a bad company, but because even the best business can be the wrong price at the wrong time. When Buffett first bought Apple in 2016, it was trading at about 10.8 times cash flow. Today, closer to 36 times. That's a big difference. Meanwhile, the AI build-out is staggering. Between 2023 and 2025, companies are expected to pour more than $500 billion into AI infrastructure. Yet OpenAI, arguably the face of this revolution, is projected to generate only about $12 billion in revenue. while still operating at a loss. Billions flowing in, profitability lagging far behind. And here's a wrinkle most people don't talk about: energy demand. The IEA expects data centers to drive a large share of electricity demand growth in advanced economies through 2030. Globally, usage can more than double. So the question isn't, will AI change the world? It will. The question is, at what price? And who will actually profit? Because history tells us pioneers aren't always the victors. Yahoo didn't beat Google, BlackBerry didn't beat Apple, and MySpace didn't beat Facebook. Which brings it back to you. If your retirement is pinned to this one lineup of tech stars, that's like hinging your fantasy football season on one star. One injury, one bad week, and you're out of playoff contention. AI is producing real benefits, but when investment spending races ahead of profits, expectations can get way over their skis. That's the risk. That's the blind side you can't afford to ignore. And this isn't just a Wall Street story. It's about your career, your industry, and your day-to-day life. That's what we'll unpack next.
Start building wealth by choice, not chance, with Julius Wealth Advisors. At Julius Wealth Advisors, your progress and your gains are our measure of success. Experience personal attention to every detail. We create strong financial plans, use time-tested investment strategies, and offer personal coaching to navigate life's inevitable turns. At Julius Wealth Advisors, we provide clients with a concierge experience in a boutique environment. Join us and let our experts guide you on a collaborative path to financial freedom with sound money management principles. Develop your tailored wealth playbook and help secure your financial future. Start strong with Julius Wealth Advisors. Visit juliuswealthadvisors.com or call 201-408-4644. Email info@juliuswealthadvisors.com. Julius Wealth Advisors, where building wealth is by choice, not chance.
So we've seen how AI hype is driving markets. But here's the thing. This isn't just a Wall Street story. It's already shaping the tools you use, the industries you rely on, and the trajectory of your career. And it's not confined to tech. It's everywhere. Healthcare. AI models are helping radiologists catch diseases earlier. Finance. It's powering fraud detection, credit scoring, and faster underwriting. Manufacturing. Predictive maintenance is saving millions by avoiding costly breakdowns. Law and consulting. Firms are scanning contracts in minutes. Consultants are modeling scenarios before clients ever walk in the room. These aren't hypotheticals. They're here now. And that's the signal. Some of this will fuel real long-term growth. And some of it is hype that could crash before it ever reaches the shore. But here's the big question most people aren't asking. Are you using AI to enhance what you already do well? Or are you leaning on it as a shortcut? Here's something you don't hear enough. AI has gravitational pull toward the middle. It's literally designed to predict the most likely next word or outcome. What do you get? Safe, familiar, average. That's fine if you're first learning. But let me ask you, when has average ever built a championship team or a life of freedom? And this isn't just my take. MIT research found that when given creative tasks, AI output clusters tightly around the average. Efficient, yes, but rarely breakthrough. And when it comes to your career or your portfolio, average doesn't win. Because if you're aiming to be elite, average is the most dangerous place to get stuck. Don't get me wrong, if you're just starting out, AI can be an incredible accelerator. It can close knowledge gaps, speed up your learning curve, and give you reps faster. But once you've built expertise, relying on it too much becomes a ceiling. It limits your edge. AI is great at polishing something that's already decent, but it rarely produces the kind of exceptional work that creates true breakthroughs. And when it comes to wealth building, average doesn't buy you freedom. Average keeps you stuck on the treadmill, earning well, working harder, but never truly ahead. Never buying back your time, never building the legacy you're capable of. The most effective people I've seen treat AI like a strategic investment. They start with the clear use cases, they set guardrails with data it can use where human oversight is required, and what good enough looks like. In practical terms, use AI for specific, repeatable tasks, turning meeting notes into action items, cleaning up a first draft of a report, scanning data sets for anomalies. But don't outsource your judgment, creativity, or strategy. That's where real wealth, real expertise, and real freedom are built. So the rule is simple. Make AI work for you, not the other way around. And that lesson tees up perfectly with everyone's favorite segment, Bonos. Because just like in football, relying on one star to win it all isn't a strategy. Depth is what makes you unstoppable.
Get your money right. Bonos. If you got the appetite. Bonos. Get your money right. If you want to get another insight. When big was setting the score, but there's something there I gotta tell you. Bonos.
All right, let's talk football. The season's only a few weeks away, and what happened to my Miami Dolphins last year is the perfect lesson for today's markets. On paper, we were loaded. Tua locked in, Jalen Ramsey shoring up the defense, Tyreek Hill fresh off nearly 1,800 yards, a league leader. The hype was sky high. But then reality hit. Tua got a concussion, Tyreek tweaked his wrist, the defense couldn't hold the line. Suddenly, the stars we invested everything into weren't performing on the field. And without depth, without players who can step up, the playoff dreams collapsed. 1 minute, we looked unstoppable. The next, we were exposed. Because you can't win a championship betting everything on a few superstars. Now think about your portfolio. That's exactly what happens when investors load up on the Magnificent Seven or AI plays. Great companies? Absolutely. But if your whole strategy depends on them staying perfect forever, you're probably setting yourself up for disappointment. Winning teams don't just have stars. They have role players who grind out yards when the stars go down, adjustments when the game shifts, consistency that gets you through the ugly wins, as well as the highlight reels. The same is true in wealth building. Long-term success isn't about one shiny stock or sector. It's about balance, steady contributors across sectors, geographies, and asset classes. It's about adapting when the game changes, not just hoping your MVP carries you. And if you think this is just about football, look around. The Warriors without KD, the Patriots after Brady. Even dynasties collapse when depth and adaptability aren't there. And it's not just sports. Kodak dominated photography until digital blindsided them. Blockbuster owned Friday nights until Netflix rewrote the playbook. Stars fade, depth survives. Championships aren't won by stars alone. They're won by teams. And wealth isn't built on hype. It's built on strategy that's resilient, diversified, and disciplined enough to outlast the hot streaks and the setbacks. That's how you build wealth by choice, not chance. So let's bring it all together. Today we unpacked 3 big lessons. Number 1, concentration is risk. The Magnificent Seven may dominate the headlines, but just like my Miami Dolphins, one injury or one earnings miss can take the whole season off the rails. Number 2, AI is real, but it comes with a cost. Billions in infrastructure, energy strains, and hype racing ahead of profits. The question isn't if it will change the world. It's who will actually benefit and at what price. And number 3, depth wins. In football, in business, and in your portfolio. True wealth isn't built on one shiny star. It's built on balance, adaptability, and the discipline to stick with your plan when the noise gets loud. And that's where Julius Wealth Advisors comes in. Our mission is simple. Elevate your wealth building game plan with integrity, knowledge, and passion. We don't chase hype. We don't gamble your future on one play. We build strategies designed to help stand the test of time so you can win the bigger game, your life, your career, and your legacy. Don't wait until the hype fades or the headlines turn. Protect your blind side now. Call Julius Wealth Advisors at 201-408-4644. Visit juliuswealthadvisors.com or email info@juliuswealth.com. Because wealth isn't built by reacting to headlines. It's built by intentional choices day after day, season after season. And that's it for today's episode of The Big Bo Show. Like, share, and subscribe. And remember, championships aren't won by stars alone. And your wealth shouldn't be either. Keep living with integrity, keep pursuing knowledge, and always live a life that you're passionate about. Until next time, all the best.
Thank you for tuning in to The Big Bo Show.
Let's take a little flower and turn it into a tree. 'Cause we're harnessing the power that has been passed down centuries. Life in a game, fortune and fame. You're gonna win over time, you know. It's hard to attain, but you're on your way. You're listening to The Big Bo Show.
Brought to you by Julius Wealth Advisors.